Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Pugh, we're talking about disparity of speed limits when you're on, we've all been on the freeway, and especially if it's two lanes going one direction, two lanes the other. And so I call them turtle races. I guess that's maybe a common phrase or not. So you got one truck passing another truck, and they're stuck going 55 on that particular piece of freeway, while cars can go 70. So talk a little bit about the difference in speed and what that does with drivers, its frustration, and then also just the disparity in speed of how that dynamic acts with safety in general. Whereas if the trucks are able to go the same speed, let's say they can all go 65 or 70 like in some states, what's the safer situation?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, there's plenty of data out there to show that a 10-mile-per-hour differential between trucks and cars creates 227% more times that they interact. Interactions, of course, is where we have accidents. If we are really concerned about speed, and as I was talked to prior to you, if we really want to do something about it, instead of differentiating the speed between cars and trucks, then lower the speed for everybody so everybody's going the same. That's all we want. That's what trucking wants, is cars and trucks. So if you're going to limit trucks to 60, then limit cars to 60, because it's proven over and over and over that all traffic traveling the same speed limit is the safest. We're down to 7 states now, I think, in this country that have speed differentials. I also think that a state probably should be deciding their speed limit, not an agency here in Washington, D.C., because I feel like Montana probably has a better idea than Washington.
I'm from California, and we have a disparate speed. They're 55 and 70 typically on I-5 I use a lot. And if we leave it to California, it'll probably just get dumber, but we'll see. Speak a little bit about the availability of trucks with these mandates going with EPA, joining with CARB to basically outlaw diesel engines by a particular timeline. And then going to much heavier. You said 10,000 pounds more? I've seen as much as 16,000 pounds additional weight by 2 sets of batteries on a truck, which is 1/5 of the gross weight of a vehicle at 80,000 pounds, additional weight. Now you take the diesel engine and the tranny out, and you probably have a different rear axle if they're all going to be driven at the wheels, I suppose. So you're not really taking that much weight off the truck when you add all that electric. So anywhere 10, 15, 16,000 pounds more weight, as you mentioned, we need 20% more trucks to do the same work. Does that seem about right as far as the gross weight?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I pulled a flatbed the majority of my career, hauled a lot of Mr. Bell's steel here and out of the High Valley, and we got paid by the weight. So not only would I be able to haul less steel at one time, I would make less money because I wouldn't be able to haul as much of a payload.
Well, and the steel guy's got to pay 5 trucks instead of 4 to get it hauled, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So now talk about availability of, especially to smaller trucking outfits. Like on my farm, we got used trucks, and they're on the older side, except for where the state has said I can't run my 2003 anymore. So I had to have them 2011 and newer. But what does it mean when mom and pop truckers are going to be mandated to have vehicles that they can't afford because they have to be a certain tier, a certain timeline? Emphasize that a little bit, would you please?
That means these folks are probably going to go out of business, which is going to have another direct effect not to highway safety, because you're taking some of the safest operators off the road. These people who, like myself, who own their own trucks, have their own businesses, most of them run used equipment. They don't want to buy new equipment. For one, the used older equipment, as you well know, is much more dependable. You can get along with it better, and you can work on it yourself, and it's very expensive to own and operate.
The average farmer trying to fix this electronic gear on a truck, they only get to use 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles a year. Or even, the guy that hauls hay for us here, they don't put that many miles on. So a used truck that has 400,000 when they buy it is pretty useful to them. So lastly, this comment here that the more lane miles you add, the more congestion you get. So does that mean we're going to have less congestion if we tear out lanes on the highway. You want to take a stab at that, Ms. Osborne, as well as Mr. Pugh? Because that just doesn't compute for me, is that let's make it one lane. We ought to have zero congestion, right? How the heck does that work?
Sometimes we do see traffic evaporate as we shrink our roadways and shrink the footprint. I'm just reporting on the facts. I'm looking back at federal data.
Traffic will evaporate if you make the roads smaller.
We have seen that occur when highways come down and a lot of reconnecting.
Is this because you frustrate people so much they don't even want to use it?
Oh, because it's just the principle of choosing the best path. People will choose different times of day rather than taking discretionary trips during the most congested hours, things like that.
So like if there was less restrooms, would it be shorter lines for the restroom?
Well, I love your restroom example because it's like saying I should have 7 bathrooms in my house because I'll have a party one time of the year and I need to make sure no one stands in line.
Has traffic all the time, have people going in and out for entertainment, moving products and all that. I can't believe we're sitting here saying that the more miles we tear out, the less congestion we're going to have with a growing population.
The results of more miles have not been good.
Pardon?
The results of our strategy have not been effective.
Well, if we're have more and more demand faster than we build, that might be one thing, but tearing out, anyway, I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman. That's all I can do.